Hello Naomi, welcome back to Life Under the Circus Skills. We are here today with another sewing experiment of randomness. So I've made quite a lot more tops recently, which you will get to see because I've got another project attached to them that I'm going to show you in a few weeks maybe. But I've also been looking at ways in which I can challenge myself, i.e. I don't want to buy any new fabric for a while unless I have to, so I am looking at ways in which I can use what I've already got to make new stuff. So this led me to, I was also clearing out my wardrobe. I've got, oh I don't, can't see it very well. I've got this skirt. Hang on. This skirt that you still can't quite see in its entirety, but as you can see, it's amazingly brightly coloured and asymmetric. And I love it. But I've never actually worn it. Because I bought it because I loved that it was amazingly brightly multi-coloured and asymmetric. But I don't really wear skirts. I think I had a vision of how I might wear it, and I'm like, do you know what, it's not my jam. But I cannot bear to part with the amazingness that is this fabric. So I want to see if I can turn it into something else. Now, I pondered maybe about trying to turn it into a pair of sort of like shorter cropped trousers, but I think that might look a little bit too clowny, which I'm not against, but I would rather have more room to maneuver if I'm going to go down the clowny route. So I think we're going to make some kind of top. Now I've had a few thoughts on this, so what I want to do, I don't have a dress form, so I'm sort of just going to have to try and pin it round myself and try and figure it out. Obviously there's only as much fabric as there is fabric, so I might have to add in other pieces that I've got, or I might have to chop it up in a different way to make it work. But I'm obviously very reluctant to chop anything until I'm really certain about what I want to do, because once you start chopping it, that's it, you're done. So yeah, I'm gonna pin up now and see if I can show you some of my thoughts and how that might work, and then let's see if we can make a decision. Ugh, I'm kind of scared, but also kind of excited. Okay, so option one, I don't actually need to do anything to, it's just like full on, I'm just gonna make myself a colourful cape. Which I sort of love, but I don't actually think is the one, so. But I had to show you, I mean, doesn't it look amazing? Wouldn't you just look, hi! I'm the multicoloured superhero. But then there's an option sort of like this. I can't move my arms very much because like trying to pin it and wear it at the same time is quite difficult. So yeah, so this would be like, these would be like actual proper sleeves. And then you've obviously got the back. And then it would come kind of like a little shrug around the top. So that's option two, which I also don't hate, but from the perspective of what I usually wear, I don't wear a lot of long sleeves anymore. I'm usually too hot. So this leads us to the next possible options. Okay, so I appreciate that this one looks a little bit clowny, but unintentionally so. It's just very difficult to hold it up. So I'm like, so yeah, my other theory was that I could make my normal basic top structure and then maybe just use the black and white ruffly floofy bits to just be a bit of an embellishment on the sleeves, just sort of sitting underneath there. I would probably not have this happening. Difficult to show, it looks more like a crop top like that, but yeah, but I theoretically might not have enough fabric to do that, or if I do, I might have to like puzzle bits together. So I'm not sure. I am most confident at the moment in my final idea, which I'm going to show you momentarily. So I swear all of these looked better when I was faffing about with this last night trying to figure it out. But we've established clearly that, you know, like just roughly pinning stuff up, not my jam. But hopefully you can get the idea from this. So I was faffing about with like having it on its side and I was like, oh my god, there's like a little wing. I love having a wing, right? So the idea would be that it looks better than this and I figure out where to cut it to make this happen, but that we sort of have like an asymmetric shoulder situation happening. Now, in the olden days, I might have actually just gone for having like it literally just being a one shoulder asymmetric piece. But I tend to like to have an additional sleeve these days, but I don't mind it being a different one. So it may be that I make something that's black or similar, or I have got, I'm not quite sure how well this comes out on camera, especially as I'm in a red zone right now, but this is a cerise pink lining fabric. Tuck it in here. This is exactly how we mock stuff up. Technique of champions right here. See? So we have a wing on this side and maybe a normal sleeve on this side, unless I decide once I have pinned everything up properly that looks stupid, and then I might even out the wings, but just have, yeah, one pink wing and one multicoloured wing. So I think this is the route we're going to go, but it's also the most terrifying because it involves some quite significant planning and cutting and figuring out how this actual sleeve is going to work. But we're going to give it a go. Oh god, I'm so scared about cooking this up, I really am, simply because I love the fabric, and once it's gone, that's it. I have to make like a patchwork quilt out of it or something, which I don't know how to do, so yeah. Stay with me, cross your fingers, let's see if we can do this. Okay, so it's falling down a bit, but I think I figured out how to make the front work. So if we have this pink joy, and then a little bit of a floaty sleeve, and then that sort of meets at the waist here, and then this comes in at the waist here, then you've got two nice sleeves, and I just have to figure out how everything meets at the back, which might be a bit easy to do when it's not draped over my shoulders, but also might be a bit complicated, because I quite, I like the idea of this trim going down both sides, but that might make quite an odd angle at the back, so that's what I need to look at next. Because yeah, I was wondering whether actually I should make sort of a whole top out of the pink and then lay this over the top. That may still be an option, but yeah, I'm going to take it off and play about with it and see if that becomes a bit clearer. So as much as I wanted my wafty big sleeve situation, I was starting to play around with the patterning, and I pinned it up so that this would be here, and so that you'd have all of this coming down here. The belt wasn't there at that point. And as I saw it in the mirror, I was like, hang on a minute, what if we actually took away the ruff? This is so hard to do with just one hand. Took away the ruff, but actually turned it into a belt. So this is just a demonstration belt. If I bring, I'll do it if I can, hang on. There we go. If I just bring this bit round, we make that into a cool, awesome stripy belt, I think that's going to be amazing. So then all I would need to do is just make the other half, so it'll be this section, and also it'll have to be the back, because that's as much back as we get with this layout. Yeah, so that would need to be... Sorry, I got very excited about this. I was like, yeah, that would need to be pink, but yeah, I kind of love that as an option. Which means that all the time I just spent doing a new pattern was actually unnecessary, because I can just follow my normal pattern if this is the kind of shape that we are going for. I obviously just need to do it into criss-crossy parts. So bear with, next steps imminent. Right, here comes the really scary bit. I'm trying to hold this up, but this fabric is so slippy. So, what I have to do now, hold it! Is cut this fabric. So I'm probably gonna overcut it just in case. But the main thing I need to remember is that, and you can't see it because I've hidden it, where there's a seam here, bye pink thing, where there's a seam here, I want to keep that at waist height, so I've got to remember that. I'm giving up. I've also got to remember that I decided, and I don't think I told you this, where the buttons are on the skirt bit, it's no longer a skirt bit, I thought that might make quite a nice feature down here. So I actually will not need to hem that bit, which means I've got to remember that when I'm lining it up with this bit does need a bit of a hem because I'm going to have to hem that bit. Oh, it's much. I really hope this is going to work. It's an extravagant experiment. I'm excited, but also petrified at the same time. So yeah, wish me luck, here we go. So the big hilarity of right now is that I didn't quite cut the front lining piece straight. And also where I wanted to use the buttons as the bottom seam, that's also not straight. So it doesn't quite align to where that seam line is that I was talking about earlier. So I'm just trying to figure out how to sort that out at the moment. I think the seam line is the most important thing. Like I could move the buttons, for example. So I should probably let that go and just focus on, yeah, getting the seam line in the right place. So I've re-put some safety pins in, sort of roughly, I've re-draped it on my body. So much easier if I had a dress form. And marked a pin for my shoulder, a pin for where it needs to hit on either side of the waist. And I'm gonna try again and then actually cut and hopefully don't cry. So here we are at the sewing machine, and this has taken way longer than I thought it was going to. This is like challenging my brain so much. So the first thing I need to do, I hope, is attach the two sections of the front panel. Because once I've made the front panel whole, then it should just be normal service resuming. But it's complicated. It's not as straightforward as you might think. So I'm gonna have to do like one little section at a time, because I just, obviously, as with anything, you're wanting to sew right sides together. And I've pinned right sides together on one side, but I couldn't figure out how to pin it together on the other side in one go. So I'm gonna sew this bit and then pin the other bit and then sew that bit, and then hopefully all will be well. This is also the first attempt at sewing on the polyester. I did a little, I was like, I can't find it, but as is always sensible when you're sewing with a new fabric, I did a little test swatch. Zigzag, not gonna happen in any way, so we're just going for a nice normal straight stitch, but being very slow and careful about it so that the polyester doesn't pucker, because yeah, this is quite possibly the most horrible fabric I've ever had to hold in my hands. It's gonna feel lovely when it's on, but yeah, trying to just get it to lie flat when I was cutting it out, my cutting was not straight. Yeah, everything was a bit of a mess. So I'm just kind of praying that this works. It's gonna be a bit hit and miss, to be honest, but the main thing seems to be that I've done an okay job of cutting out the skirt panel, which was obviously the bit that was terrifying me. So yeah, if I can succeed in sewing these two bits together, then we are like 2/3 of the way there, to be honest. Okay, so I might just give this a little I don't know how well you can see it, there we go. It's attached. I've given the side an iron. I probably need to give this bit now a bit of an iron, which is also tricky because you can't really iron polyester very well. So yeah, it also looks like I've caught a bit on the edge. Got that one. So close. I was like, nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. Yeah, it's bunched at the corner. I'm gonna fix that, and then we're on to hopefully a little bit of business as usual. There is so much to think about with this one that I forgot I was gonna do little stripy cups. So I had enough of this fabric from the wafty bits at the bottom of the skirt to do both the belt that I'm going to do at the end and to, yeah, make these cuffs. So I have pinned them onto both arms, front and back, and I'm now going to sew them on, and then we will then we will be back to business as usual, where we are attaching front to back, then hemming, then we'll do the sash, then hopefully it all comes together. Alrighty, we are pinned, so let's go, let's do this! So, aside from doing the belt, obviously, actually let's mock up the belt. Right. The belt will look something like that. So where the buttons have landed, I've actually got a spare button that I can sew on there to just even that up. I also think I might sort of make a little slitting flourish up each side. But other than that, I am so pleased with how this has turned out. As you will have seen, it was quite a painful process to figure out how this was going to work, but because I haven't had this keeps slipping down, which is beautiful, but otherwise, yeah, I'm really super pleased with this. It's naturally mega clashy with my leggings right now, but I'll wear other bottoms for that, probably some black ones, but yeah, so super pleased. Okay, so I've now got the sash pinned up and pressed, so I basically just took the whole of what was on the bottom of the skirt, minus the bit that I've taken off for the cuffs, folded it in half, folded down the edges, folded down the ends, and now we're going to sew it up, all but a small section, and then I'll pull it through so it's the right way out. Why am I doing this before I finish the rest of the top? Well, I threaded the white thread onto the machine, so that's why. I did also have to go back and, having attached the bits for the sleeves, I had to go back and finish some of the edges. I wasn't really sure if I could get the zigzag stitch to work on the edge of the polyester. It has worked, so that's fine. Obviously I did that in pink on the pink bits, but yeah, with the sleeves and with the original skirt material, I actually used white for that. So that's why we've got white on the machine. So I'm gonna do this, then go and do the hemming on the sleeves, and then we'll do all the final hemming in the proper pink. And then we are done, theoretically. So here it is. I'm very, very, very happy with how this came out actually. It was not easy. It definitely tried my patience, but you know, as I said at the beginning, I really wanted to be able to reuse the skirt rather than give it away because I loved the fabric. Like, these colours, these bright colours mixed with black and white, very much my jam, but I just couldn't make the skirt work as a skirt. So I've seen so many people on the YouTube use their awesome sewing skills to just go to a charity shop, pick up a skirt or a dress and turn it into something else. I had no idea how that was going to work for me or what I wanted this to look like. It surpassed my expectations, actually. I had a vision, and it was only as I started to kind of work on it that it became a bit clearer. I'm so happy that I've actually managed to use most of the fabric, and I have a few little bits left over maybe for some smaller projects, so that's great, but the majority of it is in the top, you know, like particularly where I got to use the bit from the bottom of the skirt, both here and in the sash. So yeah, lesson is try it, but be prepared that it's going to take some time, because yeah, not necessarily straightforward. Also, using this horrendous polyester, like, when I originally bought it, it was designed to be lining fabric, and then I had pondered about maybe using it for a top and then rejected that as an idea. And then, yeah, when I was looking for what I already had that would go with the skirt fabric, like, this was the obvious choice, but it is a bitch to sew. I hated every minute of sewing it because it was just awful. But on the upside, it washes and dries really quickly, so that should all be fine. But yeah, oi oi oi. So there you go. That was the latest sewing project. As ever, I've got no idea what's going to be next on the list. It comes as my brain thinks of things. So we shall see, but I'm pleased that we've managed to progress with some skills this time. If you have any comments about things that you would like to see me work on, please do leave those below. Otherwise, I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks for watching, bye!